Well, just 2 days ago, an anonymous op-ed writer in the New York Times, as you well know, revealed that he is part of a resistance inside the executive branch. It's dedicated to sabotaging the policies of the administration. Well, the left was thrilled by this. Now they're calling for the immediate removal of the president. We don't need an election or even an impeachment trial, they're telling us. The cabinet can just end Trump's presidency right now. It's that simple. Okay, so Washington wants to remove a democratically elected president because they don't like his policies and they want to do it without any election of their own. It sounds more like a coup than a feature of a legitimate democracy, but that's what they're calling for. Maybe they'll succeed in it. But before that happens, the people hoping to regain power should have to explain why their ideas are better for America. So far, they haven't done that. They've talked a lot about norms, called a lot of people racist, and tried to make anyone who disagrees with them shut up. And of course, they've lectured us endlessly about something called diversity, as if that answers some relevant question.
Our diversity, our patchwork heritage is not a weakness. It is still and always will be one of our greatest strengths.
Our diversity is one of our greatest strengths.
Our great strength lies in our diversity.
We know our diversity is a strength, not a weakness.
Well, they all agree on that. It's hard to know exactly what it means, though, other than stop talking or else. We won't stop talking. If the president's going to be removed from office without a single vote from anybody outside Washington, D.C., then we deserve to have some simple questions answered. And we need answered for real, not just with a sneer and a ticket to the HR department for sensitivity training. So here goes. First, how has our current immigration system made America more stable and more prosperous? In your answer, please explain what happened to the state of California. It used to be called the Golden State, had a thriving middle class, had the country's best schools. Now the schools in California are a complete disaster. The middle class is vanishing, and the nation's largest mass of impoverished people remains behind to serve a tiny pool of tech oligarchs. How exactly did that happen? Next, how precisely is diversity our strength? Since you've made this our new national motto, please be specific as you explain it. Can you think, for example, of other institutions, such as, I don't know, marriage or military units, in which the less people have in common, the more cohesive they are? Do you get along better with your neighbors or your coworkers if you can't understand each other or share no common values? Please be honest as you answer this question. And if diversity is our strength, why is it okay for the rest of us to surrender one of our central rights, freedom of speech, to just a handful of tech monopolies? And by the way, if your ideas are so obviously true, why does anyone who questioned them need to be shamed, silenced, and fired? How about this question? After spending 2 centuries overcoming our country's painful history of racial discrimination and hatred, why is it once again acceptable, even encouraged, to attack people on the basis of their skin color? And by the way, since we're asking, if it's now possible to change your sex, is it possible to change your race too? If not, tell us why and be specific. After spending more than $1 trillion and thousands of lives attacking Afghanistan, Iraq, and Libya and getting nothing for it, why does it now make sense to start new wars in Syria and Iran? And after 30 years after the Berlin Wall fell, why should we still treat Russia as our main enemy while completely ignoring China, which actually is? And how about this? How is it fair to use public resources to bail out reckless financial institutions that caused the last economic collapse? Which other enterprises are eligible for tax dollars once they go bankrupt because of stupid decisions? Since we're living by this principle, does it apply to my household budget, for example? And this, is San Francisco better off covered in hypodermic needles and human waste? Is Baltimore better off since the police there decided to stop enforcing the law? How are Detroit and Gary, Indiana doing? Weren't you in charge of those cities? We've got a lot more questions. We could go on, but we're going to start with those. Before canceling democracy, Washington should answer those questions first. And we're going to start by asking them of Quentin James. He's the founder of Collective PAC, and he's nice enough to join us tonight. Quentin, thanks a lot for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Tucker.
So we hear a lot about Trump is bad, we're breaking norms. A lot of that I'll defend. Some of it I won't defend. I don't work for Trump. Why would I defend it? But what we never hear about is the ideas of the people who seek to take his place, to regain power. And they're the people who came up with all the ideas that the public rejected to the extent that they elected Donald Trump. So my question is, Have they repudiated those ideas? The public doesn't want unrestricted mass low-wage immigration. Are Democrats against it now? I mean, have their views changed? What are they for? I guess is my question to you.
Thank you so much for, again, having me on, Tucker. I think first remember that Hillary Clinton got more votes than Donald Trump. So I don't know if the Republic repudiated the entire Democratic platform there.
Well, it was 61 million people. It's a significant chunk, I would say.
No, of course, right? But she still got 3 million more votes. But neither here nor there. President Trump is our president. Listen, I think when it comes to what Democrats believe in, I'm really excited about November when Democrats will take over Congress, and we're going to see a Democratic agenda move forward. One that's talking about raising the minimum wage. One that's talking about reforming our immigration system, dealing with our health care costs that are rising right now. I think what we've seen over the past 2 years from Donald Trump is a complete, almost shutdown of Congress moving forward and moving anything substantial politically in terms of policy.
Well, I thought that we're mad because Congress has done all these evil things and wrecked the country. You might want to recheck your talking points on that. I mean, but I'm not. Look, I'm not here to talk about Trump or Congress. We spend all of our time talking about that. I want to know, for example, are Democrats who backed the bailouts of the banks in 2008, are they committed to not doing that again? Democrats who supported killing Gaddafi in Libya appear to support the bombing of Syria, talking about
look,
more
Tucker,
war with Iran and Russia. Have they rethought this at all, or are they still the war party?
Look, we are not here to, I'm not here to defend policy from the last administration. I think what we're all challenged with right now is our current administration and again, almost complete standstill in terms of moving legislation forward. I think if you look around the nation, where we have Democrats who are leading some of our cities, leading some of our states, they're really taking these issues to the forefront and again, moving things forward. But the standstill right now is because of Donald Trump.
No, I think you make a fair point. You're right, and I think they should fund the wall immediately. I'm sure you agree with me. He ran on it. People want it. Let's build that. No, I think when you say Congress isn't acting, that's what you're saying. But let me just ask you this. So we have a kind of case study here because the state of California, our biggest state, is a one-party state run entirely by Democrats. It was the richest state when I grew up there. It's now got more poverty than any state. It's billions in debt it will never repay, and its cities are cesspools. So would you say that that's a kind of model for the rest of the country?
Tucker, the last I checked, I think Governor Brown has a surplus for the first time in years in California's budget. But again,
just to clarify, California has more debt obligations than this country could pay. So no, there's no. I mean, the surplus. That's just ridiculous. And you ask anyone. But honestly, is California a template?
I'm just speaking of the facts. No, but look again. I don't think we should look at one state as a model to run our entire nation.
Well, why not? It's a democratic state. It's the biggest state. I mean,
no. Again, we're not here to confuse the issues of California will become the United States. Right now, again.
So name. Okay. Then I'll make it easy for you. Name a place that Democrats have run for at least 20 years. And reassure me that America will become more like that place.
Look, I think if we look at the past two Democratic presidencies of Bill Clinton and President Barack Obama, look at the economy. Look at the jobs numbers, right? Okay. Donald Trump inherited an amazing economy. George Bush inherited an amazing economy. And now, if we look at what's happening in the country, he's taking credit for what we saw in Barack Obama. And so we don't have to look at states. We can look at the past presidencies.
It's a little too. All right. Quentin, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Tucker.
Outrage spreading over Fox News host Tucker Carlson's recent anti-diversity rant. Let's discuss now. CNN political commentators Sarah Setmeyer, Bakari Sellers, Alice Stewart. They're all here. Gang's all here. Good evening. So let's play Tucker's rant and then we can discuss.
How precisely is diversity our strength? Can you think, for example, of other institutions such as, I don't know, marriage or military units in which the less people have in common, the more cohesive they are? Do you get along better with your neighbors or your coworkers if you can't understand each other or share no common values?
So, criticism was swift and scathing on social media, Twitter, calling Tucker racist. Bakari, what's your response?
It's pretty simple. There was a time in this country where individuals used to use bullhorns and water hoses, but now those same individuals, they now wear Brooks Brothers suits and get late night cable TV shows. So I think that this is a vein of white nationalism. I think that Tucker Carlson, I don't know him personally, so I don't want to call him racist, but he's trafficking in the political currency, that the same political currency that the president uses, which is racism, because what he just said was probably the most asinine, ignorant thing that I think anybody actually gets paid to actually say.
He's standing by a segment, defending it on Twitter, Alice.
Tucker Carlson's a smart man. He has worked really hard to get where he is and have his own show on Fox News. But for him to sit there with a straight face and say that diversity is not a strength is beyond comprehension. That's what makes this country great. That's what makes America unique to other countries, and bringing in different genders and races and ethnicities and minds and thoughts and religions. That's what makes America great. And I think to say that diversity makes us not strong, I think is completely wrong. And unfortunately, Donald Trump sits there and watches that every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's where he gets a lot of his ideas that he spreads out, that not only divides this country, but in the president's mind, it unites and ignites his base. And so that's why he uses Fox News quite often for his tweets and his talking points.
So, Tara, generations of immigrants, you know, have come to this country with different backgrounds and cultures, embraced America's core values, built the country. Is Tucker's argument ignoring where almost all Americans come from somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, my great-grandparents came through Ellis Island from Italy and Germany. On my father's side, they escaped tanks in a revolution in Guatemala. I mean, it's really, to borrow Bakari's word and also one of my grandmother's favorite words, it is asinine to make that argument that diversity isn't good for America. I think what he's trying to say, and what the conservative movement for a long time has argued about, was the idea of foisting multiculturalism in schools and multiculturalism agendas where, in certain school districts to kind of take away from what Americanism is and assimilation. And that's always been something that the conservative movement has been concerned about, because they say, well, we're focusing on that instead of on what unites us as Americans. That has now been co-opted, though, into this very ugly, racial, xenophobic attitude that I don't know where this came from to this level. It was not okay before Donald Trump to be this overt about it. And Tucker Carlson is a smart guy. I don't know who this Tucker is, because that's not the same Tucker Carlson that was on Crossfire and making those arguments. Now all of a sudden he's turning into this nationalist, because that seems to be what Fox News wants to do in their lineup
you just answered
at night.
Your own question.
Yeah, I did.
You solved it. Come on, it is
I
what
did,
it is.
and it's a shame. It's a shame, because you're just fomenting more racial division in this country, which is the last thing that we need, given what Donald Trump has done.
Bakari, he is trying to blame the blowback he's receiving for this on the organized left, trying to silence dissent. Is that just a deflection?
Yeah, it's a deflection. It's no organized left. It's Americans who are tired of stupidity. It's the ATS, as we call ourselves. I guess I just made that up. But we're just sick and tired of stupidity. We're sick and tired of nationalism. And my concern is not Donald Trump. I know that many on the right are concerned about Donald Trump getting satisfied from Fox News. But my concern is the millions of people who watch Tucker Carlson every single night, that I may work with, that I may work out with, that I may play rec league basketball with, who actually absorb that, who take that in. And my hope is that they know that Tucker Carlson is channeling nationalism, and that is not what makes America great. And Tucker Carson's ignorant, and he is showing himself to be ignorant.
You don't watch Fox.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's giving them a license to be bigots.
Carlson. I got to go. Listen, as far as the organized left thing, a Trump-supporting Republican is on the panel and is saying that he's out of his gourd, or he's off the mark here. So there you go, Alice Stewart.
Diversity is great, and everyone tune in to Tara's podcast tomorrow, Honestly
Speaking. Oh, that's right.
Oh, thank you.
Where is it, Tara? Where can we?
Oh, there we
go. It's everywhere podcasts can be downloaded. Apple, Stitcher, all of it. Honestly Speaking with Tara Setmayer.
Just Google it if you can't find it.
That's right.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks
for watching. Our coverage continues.